Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, since Ghana is a hosting country, I ought to welcome you in a special way in a Ghana language, Akwaba. And today is supposed to be, is a ISP, is supposed to be from all kind of tree crop and also, cash crop, but is overcrowded with the palm. But anyway, I will not only limit my discussion to the palm, rather I wide the subject for the rest of the crop. So, end of this presentation, those who come as an exhibitor, they will also get convinced to invest in Ghana with their machines, with the provided land, which is a very fertile land which Ghana and Africa is going to offer to them. So, first, yeah, this one, no? Okay, fine. So we will start this presentation, and it contains business case for Ghana, climate, agro-ecological zones, crop suitability, land availability and access, labor force infrastructure, market access and trade potentials. So Ghana offers a compelling investment opportunities in the agribusiness across ecological zones with the abundant arable land, favorable climate conditions, strategic location, and country present a significant potential for agriculture development and expansion. So Ghana is rightly in a very good destination for investment, for agri cooperation. From the next slides, I'm going to touch base some of the climate and agro-ecological zones crop suitability. Integrated climate changes impact the rainfall trend and deforestation. Data from 2005 to 2025, we can understand how the ecological of Ghana is changed in the last 20 years. And Ghana's agriculture don't shift due to the climate changes. Investors must their strategies to account for these evolving conditions, because some of the land today, it may be in the forest zone and gradually shifting to the savanna. So we need to make a proper kind of a decision before making an investment. Today we make an investment and palm crop is for a 25-year. Next down the line 25-year, what would be the conditions? We need to have some level of the prediction on that one. So climate and agro-ecological conditions concerned, Ghana rainfall is concerned, on average we can say 1187 mm, but it ranges from the 780 mm to the 2200 mm. Southern regions have a bimodal rainfall patterns, while the northern regions have a unimodal patterns. Temperature on average we can say 26.1 degrees centigrade, but it varies between 20 degree to the 40 degree centigrade. Growing season, because of the distinct wet and dry seasons, we could be able to see a multiple harvesting in many regions. So climate factor affecting the crop yields. So first of all is a rain. Rain might increase or decrease, but largely we are seeing for last few years the rain is decreasing. So when the rain is decreasing, certainly we need to prepare for it, what kind of a contingency plan we have for it if the rain is going to be reducing year by year. The rainfall pattern is a more erratic, extreme. I can give one example. Last year in the GOPDC eastern region, for 68 days, we didn't have a single drop of the rain. Since inception of our business in the eastern region, that's the first time it happened. It had a serious impact on our yield in 2025. Temperature, it is increases because of the global temperature and ice melting. CO2 level, though, all the countries committed to reduce the CO2 level, but in Africa at this moment, if there is no big investment comes to, for alternative energy, we cannot see that CO2 level is going to be come down. Sea level certainly is increasing because of the ice melting. Pest and disease, more outbreaks might come. We should be prepared for it, how to tackle that one. Then the climate change impact on the agribusiness investment. Long-term climate shift, temperature, rainfall patterns, and the sea level are directly impacting the crop variability and the yield across the different regions. Tree crop vulnerability, certainly when the rain or temperature, all this had a change, it have an impact on our tree crop vulnerability. Staple crop also will get affected. And the investment, transformation, once the fertile region into the transitional ecological zones present both the challenges and opportunities, but in this case, I would say a lot of the challenges than the opportunities. Climate adaptation strategy, what we could do, climate is changing, we cannot control it, but what we could do as an agri operation companies. Crop diversification, there's one more option, planting multiple crop varieties to spread the risk and increase the resilience to changing the conditions. Risk management, early warning systems, and a diversified income sources, water management system, implementing an efficient irrigation system and water harvesting technologies to mitigate the rainfall variability. I was discussing with one of the irrigation people here. And as Nataform made in a presentation, the yield has gone from 16 ton to the 34 ton per hectare. Now, even the Ghana also, we are exploring that option. Mr. Christian Foley is there trying to do one project in the Volta region with the irrigated. But the thing is this, in irrigation, you need to spend almost probably $3,000 to $3,500 per hectare for irrigation land. By investing that kind of a money, extra yield is going to come. Is it going to compensate that one? That's going to be a big question. That's everybody watching somebody to, do the trial and see the success, and rest of them follow them. If it is succeeded, certainly we can say that it's going to change the complete landscape of palm oil industries in Africa. Even the Ghana, like Nigeria, my big brother from Nigeria, they have too much of the land there. But sometimes, when we see that, we get shaken before coming here. Yeah, research and development. Certainly, the research and development is very important. And nowadays, though we talk about we have, ample of the labor available, but that's not true. Even in the eastern region, we are facing a labor challenges. Even Nigeria, we have almost 60,000 hectares of the plantation. We are facing a labor challenges. So automation and adaptation of artificial intelligence is going to be a necessity and a future demand. Land availability and the land access. There's the two things. One is the availability of the land and accessibility to the land. So Ghana offers diverse arable land types across the different ecological zones. In this next presentation, the continuation, I wanted to take types of arable land available, ownership structures, leasing opportunities, challenge faced by the investors, and existing government land schemes. See, world needs the cropland, Africa has it. If you look at today, in the global scenario, total 970 million hectare is still available for the agriculture operations. Out of it, 590 million is coming from Africa. And 300 million from Latin America, others 80 million, 60.82% is coming from Africa. That means we cannot ignore Africa. Africa is going to be a food basket for the world in the near future. So as population is increasing, today we are talking about 8.2 billion. By 2050, it's going to be almost a 9.8 billion. 2100 is going to be increased further. Where is the food is going to come from? So only solution for that, increasing the yield per hectare. Then land availability. If you look at Ghana, 22.8 million hectares total land we have. Out of it, 13.6 million hectares is arable land. And out of it, 7.8 million is under cultivation. Almost 40% is available for the cultivation of the different kind of crops. So untapped resources present substantial opportunities for the investor looking for the develop the large-scale agriculture projects. Land ownership in Ghana, it is largely customary land, 80%, and 20% state and a private hold land. And foreign investor can have a land on a lease basis for the 50 years. If indigenous, they can have 99 years. Africa is a one continent, is not exploited to its fullest potential. There's a huge potential is there, but right kind of investment is required to tap the potential which Africa has. So types of the arable land available for agriculture, we have forest zone arable land, savanna zone arable land, and transition zone arable land. Forest zone today in southern Ghana, western, central, eastern, Ashanti, and a parts of Rongo Afo regions. Soil types are, is a deep, well-drained and rich in organic matter. Cocoa, oil palm, plantain, cassava, maize, vegetable, these are the crop we grow there. Another one is a savanna. Another one is a transition zone, which is transiting from a forest zone to the savanna. The more land coastal savanna arable land, this is largely in a greater Accra, Volta, and central coastal areas. Vegetables, cassava, maize, and mangroves, and lowland areas, coconut also they grow there. Lowland and valley bottom lands, there we grow rice, vegetables, sugarcane, and maize, and the degraded follow lands. This is degraded land after the gold mining. We can see a lot of the land which is unutilized at this moment. It can be rehabilitation with the proper kind of nutrition putting back into the land. Land ownership is a bit complicated here. So allodial title, the highest land is owned by the allodial title, 80% of the land. Then the customary freehold. Customary freehold means the land is inherited by the family or inherited by the child. Is a freehold land. They could be able to lease it out after that. Then secondary usufructuary and a leasehold interest. This is a land from the family member are taking a land. After clearing, they can use it, but they could not able to sell it. Customary tenancy, largely, we could able to see a sharecropping with the 30 to 50% produced to the landowners. In the palm, normally we do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. That means 1/3 is belong to the those who are working in the field, and 1/3 is for the landlord, and 1/3 for the take care of the expenses. So allodial title and a freehold interest. Allodial title, highest ownership tier held by state, 20% of the land, or a customary authorities, 80% via tools, skins, and clans, or families. Only allodial holders can grant a lease for agriculture, and rare for the individuals or the investor to own the land for this level. Customary law freehold, farmers may inherit or receive the land from their families or the clan farming. Non-citizen cannot hold this type of the interest. Leasehold and usufructuary interest. Usufructuary interest common among the indigenous farmers. For a cocoa farms often operate under this model, contributing to a sizable Ghana's export. Leasehold interest, most viable for agribusiness, tree crop 50-year lease. For oil palm and rubber, cereals and poultry 25 years lease. Foreign investor restricted for a 50-year lease, as I said earlier, but no freehold. Customary tenancy, it is crop shareholding. Risk in this, no legal security for the investors, prevalent among the smallholders, almost 80% of the farmers. Leasing opportunities, duration 1 to 3 years for a maize and vegetables by the smallholders, 5 to 15 years for a poultry, cassava and rice, mid-scale agribusiness, 25 to 50 years, oil palm, tea, cocoa, large plantation owners. Challenge faced by the plantation investors, is unclear ownership. Sometimes we see a multiple ownership claiming for the same land, and high compensation. The high compensation will be involved. That's the reason today we have a land valuation board to value it in appropriately what price we're supposed to pay for the land. Then complex negotiation. Negotiation may go up to the years and years. There's another challenge. If you don't go to the right channel, registration delays, then certainly we also have a registration delay when we wanted to, have a land in a company name. Government land schemes. This is the previous government what had, government offered some of the incentives for the agri sector. But of course, the new government has come in. Now we believe that they also come up with some level of the scheme for the agri operations. But last regime, we had planting for export and rural development. In that, they used to give the seedling input, fertilizers, all this kind of a benefit used to come to the farmers. State acquired land available for the leasing through the land commission. For example, GOPDC land is taken by the state own the land, state lease it out for the GOPDC. The land banks, if you wanted to check a land bank, district assemblies and a MOFA officers maintain the data of the land bank for the agriculture operations. So as per the labor force is concerned, agriculture labor, agriculture employs almost a 44.7%, let's say 45% of the labor in the agri operations. And labor cost vary by the region to region depending on the skill level, and the daily wages ranging from today's, we can say 20 to 50 Ghana CD for the agri operations. The country has growing pool of skilled professionals in the agronomy, agribusiness and agri processing from the institution like a University of the Ghana, and GOPDC is also one of the university. You could be able to see a lot of my colleagues and my other friends, those who are working for a palm industries, a lot of them, those who worked in a GOPDC trained and working there as a managing director or the chief technical officers. So I can say GOPDC is also one of the labor skilled professional supplying company. Transportation network, Ghana has an extensive road network connecting major agriculture zone to the market and a port. However, some rural areas still face the challenges with the road accessibility affecting the transportation of agriculture produce. Utilities and a port electricity coverage is about 85% with the ongoing effort to extend access to the rural areas, but still a lot of the effort need to be done to reach to the remote areas for the 15%. But I would say that in Ghana, electricity supply is consistent, is stable, though the price is slightly higher, probably it's under 15 cents, but there's no interruptions. You can bank on a, national grid and you can do the business. Then post-harvest challenges and opportunities. One is the processing facilities. We need to invest on a processing facilities, storage solutions, packaging technologies, and a post-harvest losses estimated approximately 30 to 40% due to inadequate storage facilities. This is a big number. if we could able to address all these issues, that will certainly add a value and income to the farmers. Then market access and the trade potential. Local market is a growing population. Ghana has 35 million population and 1.8% is growing year by year. So huge population demand, and population is provide a domestic market for the local producers. Regional access, ECOWAS and common election tariff, and now AFCOT is also there. It will try to give a market and to have an internal trade within the African member countries. And ECOWAS almost 1.3 billion people. We are talking about almost a $2.8 trillion economy. And global exports, growing population and urbanization drive the increased domestic demand for the food. Premium market, growing population, urbanization, certainly it also drives the demand. So all this, if you don't talk about the palm, I will not make a justice to the palm. So just to give the prospect of the palm, what potential we have it in Africa. Look at Africa. Today's population is 1.5 billion and estimated to grow by 68% hike in 2050. We're going to have a 2.5 billion population. And today's consumption is almost 19 million ton of oil and fat, and out of it 68% is a palm, 12.67. So total local production is only 3.4, 9.27 million ton we import, and still we have a highest land which is not utilized. And coming to the West Africa, 450 million population and 780 million population is going to be in a 22,500, 73% hike. Consumption of the oil at this moment 5.63, 87% is a palm oil, 4.89 million, out of it 2.51 is locally produced and 2.33 million ton is imported. Just to put it in a summary, 2.51 million is a production, 2.33 million is a import, 4.8 million is a consumption, and consumption per capita is 11.27. I'm only talking about a palm oil. Edible oil consumption for Ghana and Nigeria. Nigeria is our big brother, 230 million population, and it's going to be 380 million population by 2050. Consumption of the oil and fat is 2.86 million ton, and out of it 2.15 is palm oil, and local production is a 1.4, and import of oil is 750 million. It could be, each different data provide a different kind of figure, but by and large we can say 750 million, 750,000 ton we could say. Ghana oil palm. Ghana is a small country. We are a 35 million population, and but we are also not behind the race. In 2050, we are going to be a 52 million population, 53% hike. Oil and fat consumption at this moment 470,000 ton, and 88% is a palm. Out of it, 420,000 is Ghana consumption of oil palm, and 260 is locally produced, and 180 is imported out of it. Edible oil consumption of the ECOWAS. Here, one yellow mark you could be able to see 33.14. Togo is raising an eyebrow. Is it Togo is consuming that much? It's not. They're importing into the Togo. From there, it goes to the rest of the countries as an ECOWAS origin. That's the reason it's showing 33.14. There is no reason 9 million people are using almost 300,000 ton of oil. So combined consumption for ECOWAS 4.4 million ton, import 2.3 million ton, local production 2.5 million ton. Future projections, consumption expected to rise 8.4 million ton by 2050, population increase 450 million to 750 million by 2050. Once the population grows, per capita income, if per capita consumption remain the same, the consumption is going to high, and the prosperity is also going to add into that. So key market influence on the palm oil prices. Today, all the palm oil people are laughing. We can see a smile on their face because the international price is up. And thanks to Indonesians, those who try to go for a B25 to B30, B30 to B35, B40, now they wanted to go to the B50. I wish you go to the B100 so that palm oil prices can remain attractive for all of us. So as a result, today we could be able to see prices remain $1,000. And this year we've seen a first time, very few times we see the soya is lesser than the palm. Yeah. So limited global palm oil supply for the export, and 2025, 14 million kiloliters Unblended biodiesel from palm oil, total domestic consumption of Indonesia 22.3 million metric ton, 48.3. When they go to the B50, certainly this is going to go up. Domestic consumption plus the consumption, edible consumption also going for the biodiesel. Global preference for the palm oil, most economical compared to the other oil. Preferred in Africa and Asia to meet the domestic needs. Increasing demand driven by the growing population and per capita consumption. Renewable biodiesel production. Key market influence on the palm oil prices, impact on Indonesia export restrictions, then the dominance in a global vegetable market, and sunflower oil supplies. And if you look at the chart today, total 80 to 90 million ton is produced, total 225 million is the global consumption, out of it 90 million is a palm oil. And how much comes into the export market, looking at all the oil, not more than 85 million ton. Out of 50 million again coming from Indonesia, Malaysia, and 20 million approximately is coming from Ukraine and Russia. That means how important Indonesia, Malaysia, anything that happened to Indonesia, Malaysia, oil and fat prices are going to be, have a serious kind of impact. So, of course, I already said it. So, available manpower in Africa. What is the attraction in Africa? We have a manpower, available manpower, and we have a land, and we have a market. It's not that you need to produce, you need to look a market outside the Africa. We have a market in Africa. No, any string attached for not exporting. You can cater a domestic market. Africa, free trade, continent, which is coming up, is a blessing for Africa. So we have to be united. We have to make, increase the intra-trade and to develop ourselves and have our market for ourselves. So that's it. Thank you very much for your audience. God bless Africa. God bless Ghana. Thank you very much.